I'll call this meeting to order. We could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Start with roll call. John Mitchell.
Peterson.
Virginia Allen. Linda Jordan.
Stephanie Walsh.
Elizabeth Dorr. Lisa Garrett.
Captain Fair.
So the next thing we'll do is review and accept the minutes from the January 21st meeting. For any adjustments, edits? We'd actually like to give voting rights to Kevin Coder. Naomi Smith was not able to make it tonight, and she gave me a heads up.
I'll make a motion to accept the January 21st meeting minutes.
Any other discussion? A second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor, please raise your hand. Any abstentions? Okay. Passes. Okay, so next we have citizens' participation. And the board wishes to promote input on any issues related to agenda items on the current board meeting. In order to do so and to proceed with the business on the board, we are asking the individuals provide their name and address for the record. We are also asking that all comments be directed to the board and the comments be limited to the business at hand. Speakers must adhere to a 3-minute timeline. Anyone would like to comment?
Oh, absolutely.
Robert Colley, 93 All Hallows Road. I won't take too much time. First of all, I just want to thank the board. The subject I'd like to talk on is just the fund balance. I'm just extremely happy that even just having a conversation, I give you guys a lot of credit bringing it up. It's kind of been a little crusade of mine for a number of years to have more transparency in the fund balance. I think there's a lot of people that don't realize what it is, how much we have, and for years I've always wanted to have it possibly, hopefully, being listed on the budget, so we know not just what we use, but how much is in there, preferably how much, what kind of an account, what kind of interest are we gaining off the fund balance. I give kudos to we've never met.
No, hi, I'm Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. But I try to watch some of the meetings. I don't come all the time, but sometimes I can't hear it. But I'm just very happy that you're bringing this up, that you're referencing the GFOA and their suggestions on what to use as far as percentages. I absolutely believe that not only we should have a minimum, but we definitely should have a maximum percentage. I'm very happy to hear that you're discussing that. I believe that we should follow those guidelines. I don't think it should be too much. It's a wonderful situation, and kudos to Kevin for having the fund balance that we do have. But that does come with a downfall, the public perception of too much money. We don't want to start thinking that we're in the business of making a profit. We're a town. We're a municipality. That's not what we do. And that gives that perception. I know I read a little bit about it, could possibly have a lower percentage can have a bad effect as far as bond rating. I understand that. And that's one thing, but we also have to take into consideration too much can also affect maybe grants that we participate, you could possibly get in the future and what have you. And like I said, but all in all, I'm glad we're having the discussion. You're coming up with a plan, and we have a situation now where with all the new developments and the businesses coming into town, it's not, bless you, your routine tax years. So we got to be really, really smart. We are an impoverished area. And we have to remember that. It's always going to be about the people. And it's their money. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Tom Zengowitz, Plainfield Village. I just wanted to make a note to the Board of Finance. Last week, as I'm sure some of you know, at the Board of Selectmen meeting, we discussed the American Legion ambulance, which is one of the line items in our budget, and how they are asking for a pretty big increase this coming year. Actually asking for a contract which would be over the course of 3 years at $250,000 a year from the town. So that's a pretty big hike from where we're at now of $80,000. So I just wanted to make sure that all the Board of Finance members are certainly aware of that, but also I think it's pretty important that you consider in the very near future having that as an agenda item. And organizing a meeting with the American Legion Ambulance representatives so that way they can come out and certainly answer your questions and concerns that you have, just like they made themselves available last week at the Board of Selectmen meeting. Because again, I'm sure there's going to be questions just with how did you get, this American Legion Ambulance, how did you get from 80,000 that the town has provided to now 250,000 over the course of the next 3 years. And there's a lot that, of course, goes into that, from maintenance of the building to the equipment, the vehicle, etc. But I know that the board members are probably going to want a lot more details on that, as well as probably an audit of the books and seeing the numbers and how they calculated those numbers. So it's just a comment, just an advice that I think before we get into the real crunch time of budget season, I think it would be a good idea to organize that at a future meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Kevin Cunningham. I just have one thing. First of all, thank you very much, Bob. It is a good point to bring up to the public and explain where we are in the fund balance and how to properly utilize it. So we'll talk about that a little later on. I do have one thing. In order for the public to understand the things that are happening, whether it's taped or live, it would be appropriate, if you wouldn't mind, we paid a lot of money for these. Please use the microphones, because sometimes you can't hear people at all, and it's important that we use them so we can get that communication back and forth.
Are they going to work? Let's turn it off. We had a lot of problems with the last one. Hopefully we got one track. This is the way it's perfect. And if you wouldn't mind using, I would appreciate it.
Would anyone else like to speak? Okay, so we will move on to new business. So the next is discuss and act upon the financial reports as presented by the Board of Selectmen.
Good evening, everybody. Lisa Madden, Director of Finance. First, I'll address a few questions. Thank you. Pleasure to meet you as well. And just as you know, the budget does include fund balance. It shows beginning balance, what is used and appropriated last year, next year, and what the remaining balance is. So fund balance is absolutely included in part of the budget package that actually is now in the selectmen's hands. The first selectman has already approved it. We're giving the selectmen opportunity to review it, and then it'll go to the Board of Finance. So as of right now, the budget is complete for the town, and so round one will begin. So prelude to that, thank you. Not much has changed since last month. As you can see, if anything, revenues continue to increase. We did have one unfortunate loss. Our engineer was hired by an outside company, and he had a hard time just choosing either stay or go. It was a great opportunity for the gentleman, and we utmost respect for Sean, and we really looking forward to working so much so that he's going to stay here as the town engineer through the company and maintain office hours on Monday and Tuesday, I believe, afternoon. So we still do have an engineer, it's just not coming through our payroll. So we don't have to pay the payroll taxes, the benefits, but we will have to pay a higher rate, but we'll see how that goes. So we did lose our engineer on staff, but we changed it over to what I guess you guys previously had before with contract service. As I said, revenues, I mean, we're trending really high. We're doing very well. Interest, tax from all the back taxes is good. You know, right now, we're at a positive net position forecasting of $2 million, 1.5 from increase in revenues. So 1.2 of that is a fund balance from last year that we're not going to use. 200,000 is from capital project that we're not doing from last year. So we're in good shape. I don't know if anyone has anything specifics, but nothing really much on the expense side, with the exception of the engineer.
I was curious as to how we're getting billed now for the engineer. What's the contract rate?
It's a per diem, it's not a flat fee. It's $190 an hour, not to exceed $100,000 a year, I believe.
And what will we budgeted?
His salary is more than that. So the forecast is less. And it is reflected in next year's budget too.
As contracted or?
Contracted.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that going to be enough to cover how much we need an engineer for the town? The time to
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we have a contingency plan too. It depends on what comes into the town. We never know, you know, what we may or may not need an engineer for. But I do know we have other studies going on. We hope to do the bridge study. We've got the road study we want to do. So those are outside sources where normally you utilize a town engineer, where we're kind of taking it out of that hand and wrapping it around and doing it ourselves.
I don't have any questions on this.
Well, you always know where to find me.
Thank you.
That's it. And we had several correspondence over the last month as well. I don't know if you'll be touching on that in old business, between the police chief, the update on the electrical that we had. We had a whole bunch of correspondence.
I don't have that on the agenda or something. Go over it if you want to go over it.
No,
Right,
it
Ian?
just there's been a lot of communication, so it's been fantastic. That's really what I wanted to say. Working with this group between the bylaw committees, working with the board of selectmen, just having that cohesive group on working together in unity, it's been fantastic. Our bylaw committees have been rather fun.
So, back on the engineer, is it safe to say that the rest of his line items like supplies and expenses, travel, computer, all that's coming back in?
Yep, gone. There's no phone, there's no motor vehicle usage, because he's an outside contractor.
He's now an outside, he supplies everything, we just pay him
Yep.
an hour.
Exactly.
What about all the memberships and stuff like that? We don't need to worry about that?
No, we don't need to
Just
do
the
any
near
of that.
mapping, which was a shared expense, I believe?
Yes, near mapping is shared with the assessor, planner, and engineering.
So is that gonna be redivvied next year and shipped?
I still have it in engineering right now. I still have a placeholder there.
We gotta change that around?
I don't think we're going to need to do that.
Engineer still uses it, whether he's a subcontractor or not. Still a separate department in our budget, and if we want to change it, we can. But it's still an expense, not. It might be good for tracking anyway, because didn't you guys go from like contract and then you hired them and contract again? It might be good to look at those trends anyway, and historical if we ever needed to look back.
Well, would we supply the contract for near mapping for him to use, or would he supply his own?
Well, he'll have his own CLA. The near mapping is done actually through the planning department, Brian.
Right, and we were
And
just
then the
dividing it
assessor
up to
does
make it.
It's still a department function, you still need to utilize it as part of the function.
Yeah, you can see in the forecast, salaries are now just done as of January. The engineering firm might be all set and there's still savings, but there's no other expenses. supplies, travel, computer, vehicle, membership, everything is zero.
Yeah, I saw you shifted, part of the salary, I thought, down to,
Engineering firm, the
Engineering
line item right
firm.
below.
which needs to be a line item transfer, correct?
We'll have a whole bunch in June. I'm gonna do them all in one shot. Instead of doing it periodically throughout the course of the year, it's harder for anyone to follow, auditors, and even just general public. It's just so much easier. We know we're gonna be under, let's do these transfers and get it done with.
Can I make a request on this form you're doing here, this?
The other forecast?
Forecast? Can you separate the department head out from the rest of the staff on each department? You've got them all lumped in as salaries for that department.
I do.
Can you just break this department head out and have the other staff?
Yeah, I put all salaries together, this is the budget
Yeah.
separated. You wanted to mirror that?
Yeah, I'd like to mirror what we have on this original.
Sure.
Where we can see the department.
It's actually less work for me to do it that way, but now I have to put the formulas in it.
I mean, that's, honestly, I look at that number to see where we stand on the department heads. Quickly.
No problem at all, happy to. Any kind of stuff like that, please ask. I mean, these are just simple forms, and as we're creating and getting used to them and getting accustomed to them, anything you want to see, please.
I do like this form. I mean, it's very nice, nicely done. It's easy to read. It's, oh, I got this one. Yes.
Oh, yeah, I do it on legal, just, you know, we have the rest of the year, the month by month, and you came to print that one letter.
It's, for some reason, it's easier to follow stuff on this one than the other one.
Oh, the regular budget one, that you
Yeah.
guys are accustomed to getting?
Yeah. It's harder sometimes to line things up. Must be the lines, must be easier.
And for everyone's request, the financial update is in the back of the room, so anyone from the public, you're welcome to take a copy as well.
That financial update is very nice, too. I think you're doing a good job.
Thank you, Sean. I'm having fun. Good people.
Anybody else gonna talk?
I was just gonna say thank you for working with us and the community on the things that they're asking for. It's been great, and I'm sure for new members too trying to learn this, this has been great to have.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Oh, I guess I gotta wait for the motion now.
Any other questions? For a motion then?
I move to accept the financial report as presented by the Board of Selectmen.
I'll second that.
You should have talked to this. I'll get used to it.
Who seconded it?
I'll second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, so now the next one would be to discuss and act upon the financial report as presented by the Board of Education.
So there's just a couple of things that I want to touch on for you guys to review from my report that you have. First being our new, for the fiscal year 2026 project summary report. There are 3 areas that have drawn our attention this past month, 2 of which, actually probably all 3 we've discussed in previous meetings. So nothing new going on, but the 3 areas that we're continuing to look at are the salaries. So we still have some open vacant positions. So those funds from those open positions we will be using to cover for the other 2 object codes that are that we're keeping an eye on. The first one being the tuition account code. Last month I did project that being over budget, and this month it is continuing to be over budget. We've had a couple out of district special education placements, so that's an area that you can see is the biggest drastic change from your previous report. For that object code, we are waiting until after the March 1st submission to the state for the excess cost grant reimbursement. So we are not making any changes or line item transfers at this time. We have met as a leadership team to review that account code, but we are waiting until the state releases the new amounts for the excess cost grant reimbursement. And then the last object code that's not listed on your report, but is number 5 for our health insurance. That is also an area, as we discussed that last month, and now you actually have the full each-of report in front of you. For our December claims, obviously you can see that they were just over $1 million that we discussed in our previous meeting. We've also just received our January banking report, so this is an area that we are again meeting on every month once we get the banking report to making sure that we are making contributions as necessary for our claims.
My question would be, is there no contingency for catastrophic claims?
Yes.
We do have a
We do.
contingency.
Yep, we do have stop loss insurance.
Okay.
So for our claims, there is a certain threshold that we have to meet for our excess claims.
And what is that?
So for most of our claims, it's $175,000. We do have one large claimant that they have considered a laser on, so it's actually 3 times that amount. So we have not reached those thresholds on all of our claimants that you're seeing the claims for, but it is the stop loss insurance.
Okay. Explain the laser, please.
So we have one claimant that when we get our quotes from the insurance companies, they look at our claim history and they basically tell you for your large claims what your stop loss insurance numbers are. So the numbers that they give us are the threshold of $175,000, or there's one large claimant that they have given us a larger amount for. But that's all quoted from the insurance company.
And that's the stop loss insurance
Yes.
company? Okay. Okay. So potentially our exposure wouldn't be $1.5 million?
So the claims that you're seeing are for everybody that's on our insurance.
Okay.
So you could have technically 500 employees on insurance all getting a $500 claim. So it all depends on who the claimants are. We do not have control. We do not see specifics on who they are. We just get the numbers for each month.
Well, I guess my question is, my question is if you have one claimant that's at $750,000 claim, are you saying that the gap insurance would not cover that, or would cover only a small portion because they're going to?
They will credit us 4 to 6 weeks later the amount over our threshold.
But they could raise the threshold.
No,
They
that's
cannot.
something. No, yep, that's something that is decided on when we renew our insurance.
I understand. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you can see in December's report, the claims were just over $1 million. But if you look down where it says stop loss refunds, which is 6 rows down, that's where we will see all of our credits. But when we do have a large claimant that goes over that threshold, like I said, it does take 4 to 6 weeks. So we are responsible for paying the claim, and then we get the credit back 4 to 6 weeks later.
And you're going to keep them separate, or are you going to just adjust the expense line?
So the health insurance is just one budget line in our account. The E-CHIP is through our collaboration that we send the monthly contributions to.
Okay.
So in our budget, we did 2 months ago or last month we did make budget line item transfers. So we did try to look at all the areas of our budget to move funds from areas like vacant positions to help cover making an extra contribution. You'll actually see that in the February banking report, because when we make the contribution, it takes some time for it to actually hit the bank and hit the report. But we did make an extra contribution because we were having such large claims.
So my hopefully final questions is going to be, we're in a co-op, correct?
Yes, it's an E-CHIP collaboration.
Okay, so are the expenses that are incurred by the Town of Plainfield, Board of Education, whatever, are they specifically attributed to us, or is it across the board, like Killingly would be across the board? It is not collaborative?
Just us.
It is not collaborative?
The collaborative is more the insurance quotes and the plans.
Okay.
To get the larger numbers of people that are on the insurance.
Right.
But the claims that we pay, the banking report that we have, everything comes from our direct employees.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So you're saying 1.38 is due is where we are?
Yeah.
What's it normally for this time?
So what they say for a recommended range, you want anywhere from a survival ratio for 2 to 4 months. So that's why once we dropped below the 2 months, we met as a leadership team once we got that December banking. Because you can see in November it was 2.57 months on the green sheet here at the bottom. And then in December is when it dropped to 1.38. That is when we decided to make that extra contribution. So we did budget transfers from other areas. You just won't see it on this report until February. So it does, the graph does drop below the 2-month mark, but the extra contribution that we've already made doesn't show up until February. So this is an area that we are just trying to stay on top of and consistently look at and meet as a leadership team to see where we are.
My concern was, and I may have misunderstood at the last meeting, was that we were going to be on the hook, basically, for 1.5 million put. And that was my concern, why we wouldn't have had a stopgap. But we do.
We do, and if I'll go to the microphone.
Thank you.
I paid attention when Kevin said I should use the microphone. We're actually going to see, so the good news is that we're going to see some of this get a little better. We were averaging claims in the anywhere from 380,000 to 600,000 a month. Sean, I think that's the question you were asking when you said what's it normally. Yeah. We had a month of 1.2 million, so that's more than twice what our highest previous month had been. The good news is you mentioned the stop loss. The stop loss it's about 600,000. It's a little less actually. But that claimant that we're talking about as a high claimant hasn't hit 600,000 yet. When that claimant hits 600,000, then all of a sudden that kicks in, so we're not going to see that. The challenge we had in December was we don't have one claimant driving all the claims, we actually have 5. And each one of those individuals has to hit the 175, and the other claimant has to hit the 580 or so thousand to hit that number. But our team made budget transfers. We made some tough decisions to make sure that we have the insurance reserve. And when you look at my budget presentation, which we presented to the board as they approved is going forward, our increase for next year, which will be 3.9%, which is about 1.5 million, of that 970 or so thousand is insurance. And the other 500 or so thousand is the rest of the budget. The budget without insurance next year is less than 2%. Most of our budget increase is the high cost of insurance.
Are you looking at commercial insurance at all, or are you sticking with fully funded rather than self-funded?
We are. We're looking. We have worked with the town of Plainfield. We've been meeting with USI, our insurance broker. I think we as a team have probably done 4 or more meetings. We have one more meeting coming, and then we're going to make a final decision as far as where that goes. We are looking at all the options to try to be most fiscally responsible for the town. I'm also trying to very compassionately be careful how I talk about this, because all employees have a right to good health insurance, and we want our employees to feel that we want them to get that medical health they need, and that we want them to feel safe and secure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions?
The only other area that I wanted to draw your attention to is the facilities report. I know at the previous meetings we talked about the heating units that we are replacing in Shepherd Hill. Our facilities director, Paul Kowalski, has been keeping a very close eye on that. We do have heaters that we have rented for our cafeteria to keep that temperature at a good temperature for the kids in the cafeteria. And he has been in contact with the company, and it should be shipping in early March. So as soon as the part is able to ship, they're going to get it here and try to get it installed as quickly as possible. And as you can see from the facilities report, our biggest struggle is heater repairs. So when we have sub-zero temperatures, our buildings are struggling to keep up. So we've had to do quite a few individual heater repairs and making sure the buildings are all heated.
for a motion then?
I'll make a motion to accept the monthly budget and expense report presented by the Board of Education.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. Okay, motion passes. Okay, our next line would be to discuss the fund balance policy draft. Okay, so
Madam Chairperson, I'm sorry, if you don't mind, guys, request that you move up line 5D to 45C, because the auditor is on the line right now, if you wanted to do the audit review.
I'll make a motion to table item C until after item D, the audit report.
I'll second. All in favor? Okay, motion passes.
Hello, Kyle. Can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me all right?
Woo, we work! I'm sorry you cannot see us, sir, but we have full audience in the Board of Finance here, as well as Kevin and myself, and Courtney and Paul from the school. So I'll let you do your introductions and put the mic next to the projector.
Great. Thank you so much. And nice to, I guess, see everyone, even though I can't, but nice to speak with you this evening. And I certainly appreciate the accommodation of having me join remotely tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and share screen. Let me know if you can see this okay.
Yep, we're good, Kyle.
Okay, great. So Kyle Connors, I'm Managing Director with CBIZ CPAs. We serve as the town's independent third-party auditing firm. And so tonight I'm going to walk you through the fiscal 2025 financial statement results. Certainly feel free to ask any questions as we go along, or I'm happy to answer them at the end as well. I do want to note that this is one of the earlier years that we've been able to present the town's financial statements to you. Really a credit to Courtney and the Board of Ed for being ready earlier this year than really in any of the years past. They provided us with a clean audit and a very timely one, so appreciate that. And then certainly on the town side with turnover, Lisa came in and grabbed the bull by the horns, so both of them just a pleasure to work with, so thank you to them for their hard work. The total fund balance in the town's general fund increased by $973,000 in fiscal 25, leaving the town with $15.1 million of what's considered unassigned fund balance. That's fund balance that can be used for future costs. That unassigned fund balance, typically when we measure health of a municipality, we'll compare that to the town's operating budget. So for fiscal 25, that unassigned fund balance of $15.1 million was about 29.4% of the town's operating budget. Typically anything 8 to 20% is going to be considered healthy. So certainly that 29% is above that upper echelon. I think it's important when you're looking at 1 year to kind of get a sense of where the town has come from, dating back the last 7 years. As you can see, that dark green portion of fund balance represents the unassigned fund balance, and it's grown pretty steadily since 2019. When banks and rating agencies are looking at your financial health, they're typically looking at steady growth in your fund balance. They're looking to see that there's not significant spikes down and up year over year. So this is a pretty healthy picture of the town's finances dating back to 2019. Revenue for the town's general fund was over budget by $775,000, so it was more than what was anticipated. Property tax being the largest revenue source was $573,000 below what was anticipated, and the town had a tax collection of 96.5% of its taxes that were assessed were received in 2025. Typically, anything around 97% is considered healthy. Building permits were above budget by $348,000, largely due to the finishing stages of the Amazon warehouse that was built. Interest income was above budget by $605,000, and other local revenue was above budget by $452,000. and that was largely due to Connecticut Water paying the town for patching up the road that they did their water project on. Expenditures were $676,000 less than what you had budgeted, so you came under budget, and that savings was split pretty evenly amongst employee benefits, general highway costs, and education costs. The town spent $2.6 million in ARPA money, which was predominantly all of its remaining funding. The ARPA funding is required to be spent down by 12/31/2026, or it potentially needs to be returned to the government, so Plainfield should not have any issues with that. The town has as you're aware, the WPCA, the sewer fund. Operating revenues were consistent with the prior year of $2.7 million. Operating expenses were just a tick above where they were last year, coming in at $2.6 million compared to $2.5, leaving the town with operating income in its WPCA fund in 2025 of $63,000. The town administers its own private pension plan. That plan is actually funded at just under 108%, leaving the town with a net asset on its books, on its government-wide financial statements, of $2.6 million. To provide some context, it was funded at 104% and 95.7% the two preceding years. It's predominantly due to the town making its annual required contribution, and then the fund also, or the plan also had $3.9 million of investment income in 2025, and dating back to 2019, it's had almost $13 million worth of investment income. So a lot of that's passive growth. The Board of Ed administers what's called an other post-employment benefit, or an OPEB plan, to certain retirees for healthcare when they retire. That fund had a liability of $2.6 million at year end. The plan is funded at 38.6%, and to provide some context, that sounds low compared to the pension. Most OPEB plans are either pay-as-you-go and unfunded, or they live somewhere around the 10 to 15% funded ratio, so the 38.6 is comparatively higher than most communities. Again, to provide some context, it was funded at 3.6% in 2017, so quite a bit of growth since then. It's also important to note that that liability in 2017 was $9.3 million. As you begin to fund your plan a little bit more, and you get to a higher funded percentage, you can use more aggressive anticipated rates of the investment your assets are going to bring in, and that in turn decreases the liability. We did have a restatement of the town's government-wide financial statements. When we were performing the audit, we came to the realization that the other post-employment benefit liability in the prior year was understated by $3 million in the government-wide financial statements, largely due to what appeared to be a transposition. So we restated that balance at the beginning of the year this year to just show the fiscal 25 activity. There was also a reclassification of CDBG loan receivable, which, this is more of just accounting, a function of accounting, but it was moved from what's considered a deferred inflow of resources to non-spendable fund balance, because the loan receivable is not available revenue until it's paid by the loanee. We did have a finding in the prior year for lack of reconciliation by the Board of Ed, between the Board of Ed and town, and just delays in the Board of Ed side. We've had that finding, I think, for quite a number of years, and so I'm happy to note that that was removed and considered resolved in fiscal 25. Other comments, just continue cybersecurity training. We're always seeing communities getting hit by malware or ransomware. Performing vulnerability testing proactively is a big step as it relates to cybersecurity. So that's the financial statement piece of the audit. We're also required to test certain federal and state grants that the town receives in order to ensure that they are spending those funds properly. They're spending them on allowable costs. They're reporting them to the state and to the federal government timely and appropriately. And so I'm happy to note that we do not have any non-compliance bring to your attention at this point. So far, we've been focused on the ARPA fund, which is the $2.6 million that we talked about in the previous slide. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Kyle. Whoever speaks, just speak loud. I gotta bring it to the mic here. I'll probably have to reiterate the question for you.
No worries.
How many extensions do we have to file this year, one or two?
How many extensions did we have to file this year, one or two?
Well, for the financial statements, it was one. For the state single audit, which is also a part of the state's extension, I believe is two. But the financial statements have been shared with the state, so they're aware that that portion of the audit is complete.
So how can we prevent this next year from having to file extensions?
How do we prevent this next year from not filing extensions?
Yeah, again, yeah, this is certainly light years ahead of where the town has been in previous years. I think it's very challenging and difficult to get fully back to being in sync in just 1 year, especially with some turnover of the town. I think just keep doing what we're doing, and I think a full year with Lisa at the helm will make a big difference in issuing December 31st.
How many extensions did we have last year?
How many extensions?
Five or six, and that was pretty consistent with the years before as well.
So we cut it down considerably, so hopefully next year there'll be no extensions.
Apologies, I didn't catch that one.
Okay. The one time, to reiterate, he said we cut it down substantially, so hopefully next year we can go for no extensions.
For sure, yep. Big improvement this year in time.
I didn't catch what on the extension. There was one financial extension. What was the one? We had two extensions on?
It's the single audit, the ARPA funds still have to be done, and so we have to
Yeah.
the state and the federal. Go ahead, Val.
Yeah, no, you're spot on.
I know it's hard because you can't see us and we can see you, so.
I know it's disappointing, usually he's here in person to do this.
Still be patient for us to get him here the week that you have this meeting scheduled. We figure it was more imperative to have him on screen.
No, I understand.
Wait a moment.
I have questions, but I think they might be operational, and I think that perhaps Lisa, you and I could sit and just go through them rather than keep everybody here.
Of course, happy to. And then if I have any questions to fall back on, I can use the email file to get it back to you rapidly.
Thank you.
Yeah, and certainly if anyone on the board wants to talk to me directly, if they don't have my information, please feel free to share it with them. I'm more than happy to speak with anyone.
Yeah, they have a copy of your presentation as well, Kyle.
Great, thank you.
So, Lisa and Courtney, are you guys happy with what you've seen for the audit this year and the performance?
We're happy to see you.
Okay.
Said she had nothing for that.
Oh,
You
okay.
said it to her.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. I'll follow back up with you on the questions on closing those other funds though. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody, I appreciate it.
Yeah, we will still be accepting all of it. I will accept it. We have a motion.
What do you want now?
I don't make sure that it to accept it all. And extend the town annual meeting. Kevin, did you have a recommendation on the date for the town meeting?
I can look, but I think we have to go probably 2 weeks out now to do the legal notice, so, let me take a quick look. First of all, this is action of just accepting, and we'll get to the other one, the date later on.
So we won't be setting the date tonight?
Well, it's down further, on item E.
They're both on me now. He's got them both on.
That's true, we did motion to move to item E, yeah. Actually, didn't move to.
I think I said D.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay. Okay, so we just, going back to the fund balance?
Do you want a motion to accept the presentation at this point? I'll make a motion to accept the audit presentation for Stevens.
You move to accept the presentation. Is that what you?
Correct.
Is there a second?
I'm accepting the presentation.
Not the audit findings, though.
I'm accepting the fact that you presented this to us, and
Okay.
we're accepting it.
Okay.
That makes sense. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay. All in favor of accepting the presentation from CBIS, please raise your hand. Okay. Motion passes. So, now we go back to the fund balance policy. Yes. No, unless we motion to move it, we're not, we still have to do C.
Yeah, I screwed up with what we do after D, so, yeah, we have to do C, I guess.
Okay. It'll give time, to find a good date for the meeting. Okay. Lisa, did you have anything you wanted to talk about for the fund balance policy draft? I know we did the full presentation last time, but.
Yeah, I can't say that I do. I did send you other towns as well, but this way you have more and more to look at, because I know that was one of the requests the last time, so you had more examples to review. I mean, unless you guys have any questions for me at this point, you know, last time was to introduce it, let you see it. Your current fund balance policy is only at 10%, and as the auditor showed at 29, I am making a recommendation that it's between 15 and 20, but that is up to you as a board to decide what you'd like.
Can you refresh our memory, you had a minimum and a maximum
Yes,
on that?
I
What was
did.
your recommendation?
15 to 20.
15 to 20, 15 would be the low number, 20 would be the high number?
Correct. I'll actually get the exact verbiage, because I said in an emergency, you could vote to make it down to 12, so bear with me a moment.
I didn't know they make that.
Yeah, it's the unassigned.
You all have comments on this? I do, but it's not here. I got it mine if you want, have something back.
The town of Plainfield will strive to maintain a balance of 15 to 20% upon passage of this policy. During periods of declared emergencies, critical need, or unanticipated shortages in state or federal aid, this guidance can be lowered to a range of 12 to 15% at the discretion of the Board of Finance. That's put in there for example like COVID. There's a hard copy for you again.
Lisa, does this mean that we're going to, our current fund balance policy caps at 10%, correct?
The low end is 10. So there's no cap. The low is 10. You try to definitely make sure not to go below a minimum, because when you go out for bonding, it's your credit worthiness. And we've been at a AAA for many years, and we're hoping the next time that we have to go out to bond, it'll be higher, because we're going to have financial policies in place. We have capital governments in the works. We have year over year of strong financial balances. And just by having these policies, it looks better from the bond rating agencies.
What's higher than AAA?
You can have the AA.
Oh, that's right. All right. I think I thought AAA was the best.
For road repairs, I guess.
I don't know about that.
Oh yeah, that's true. You're waiting a while. And the new policy is very similar to the old policy, and it has two appendices, having your two previous policies that were approved as well. So the history remains intact.
Does anybody have any thoughts, any further thoughts on this?
I'm not I'm not comfortable right now making any kind of final determination until that's just me.
It's all just a discussion right
Yeah.
now.
Can you tell me why? I want to know, I want to understand why where we are.
For me, because I'm bringing it to this board,
Yeah.
I need to be better prepared and dive more deeply into what the previous fund balance looked like. Not from a mathematical point of view, but from an articulated point of view, from what was actually written previously and what exactly we're changing.
Okay.
So I'm not sure that I understand exactly what the whole purpose of the change is. So that's just me, because I'm new.
Okay, no, I'm fine with that. I want to understand why we're going to delay, why we consider delaying it at this point. That's all.
The history is there in the actual copy of the policy that you received in last month's meeting. And as I said, your history is 10%. We're increasing it to try to make a better threshold so it won't go below it. It's to secure us, be more fiscally responsible.
Has any other verbiage been changed?
Very minimal, not in context.
Okay.
It's literally,
I think that was my concern.
yeah, no, there's no other change in authority, change in plans, none of that. I mean, no diminishing capacity, no, just, it's changing, it's increasing the amount.
So what needs to happen to make you comfortable with the policy?
What you just said.
Do you need to sit down? Do you need to sit? So are you ready to move on, or do you need to sit down and talk to her about it?
No, I just wanted to be reassured that there were no other significant changes made to this policy that are not being brought forward, and I'm feeling very comfortable that that is not the case. If that's what you're telling me, I read it, but again, I'm not that familiar with the previous policy, so I wasn't really sure where we were at with that. But you're telling me that there were insignificant changes, then I'm gonna
Yes,
go
and
with it.
it's actually, the current policy has the previous two policies attached to it, and you
Yep.
could see it. It's mostly just like updating the definitions and, yeah, but no.
I'm good with it.
I just want to make it, I want to figure out what we need to have to make this comfortable with it, that's all.
I'm comfortable. I'm good now. I'm a cheap date.
So how does everybody feel about the percentages, the 15 and the 20? Is everybody comfortable with those numbers? Do you think we need to be up a little higher?
No.
Because I was always taught 3 months of expenses. At 20, I don't think you're actually months, are you?
Lisa, can you tell us what the state fund balance percentages are?
They were happy to get to 12.
Do they, designate such as us a range?
Yes, they do the same exact thing that we do. They do not have a range, they're just trying to get out of the red for the past couple of years. I don't know if someone else can speak more intelligently in regards to the state, but they've been happy the last couple of years. They're actually looking better than they ever have been. But they're not even close to where you are as a town. Most towns, as I said, GFOA, they do recommend the 16.67, the 2 months. But just because we have a minimum doesn't mean you can't go over either. That's up for you guys to decide as a board.
What's the GFOA?
Government Finance Officers Association.
Is that state?
Yes, well, that's actually nationwide.
But at 20%, we wouldn't be able to exceed that in our fund balance.
Yes, you can. This doesn't say a max. There's no max. It says recommended range 15 to 20. Does not say absolute.
I was misinterpreting. I was thinking that was the max.
Yeah, no, that's not the max. It's the recommended. If it falls below, now you have the policy in front of me. If it falls below a certain percentage, it says that we will have to present an action plan. But that doesn't address going over.
And if we do go over, Lisa, would that affect any of our bond ratings or?
It just roll over to next year. And now you're going to see it on the budget anyway.
Yeah.
You know, it's part of your audit and it's going to be part of your budget presentation.
So we can make a motion to accept this policy?
We could. Is there any other concerns with our the percentage that was presented? Okay.
I'll make a motion that we accept this policy.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, motion carries. Thank you for the work you put into this.
There'll be more. So we're gonna do one at a time, just trying to keep it going at all times.
I'm sorry, but can you just let me make the motion in a second on that?
Linda made the motion, I seconded.
Thank you.
So, we could move to line E, for setting the town annual meeting.
But we don't set the date, do we? This is for selectmen set the date, correct? We just move it forward to you, or am I wrong?
I think this is your,
Okay.
we'll talk about it also in the Board of Selectmen meeting on Monday anyway, but I would make a recommendation at this time. You'd like to give yourself notification to the circulation press, which is our Norwich Bulletin. I would advise in the future we think about that, because we might say, okay, we vote on it tonight, and then tomorrow we go to put something in that Norwich Bulletin, and they say, oh, it's too late to get it in this weekend. So you'd like to give yourself 10 days. I would suggest at this time, if you take a look at the March 12th, Thursday night, that would probably be an appropriate time to have the public be able to get out there. You're not interfering with other boards and committees. Right now, we're double stacked on the third Thursday of the month, so the second Thursday of the month is pretty much open. And it gives you your full 10 days of notification in the newspaper.
Any concerns with that?
Thursday, March 12th?
Yep. Would anyone like to motion or any further discussion?
I make a motion that we set the town meeting for the audit, Thursday, March 12th at 7? Is that typically the time we do it?
Yeah.
7 p.m., and that would be here?
You have a second?
Second?
Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, motion passes. Thank you, okay. So now, would be F, the Board of Finance Bylaw Committee update.
Yeah, we had, at our last meeting,
Thank you.
I'll say we're about a third of the way through the old bylaws, rewriting them actually. We almost threw out the whole thing, and it was easier to almost start from scratch. But, so we're gonna present it to the Board of Finance in one packet. So we have a meeting on March 2nd, and I think it'll be the one after that. Do you remember when that is, Jimmy?
I want to say the end of the last Monday of March.
Yeah, so we should be presenting it to you guys, April.
The 30th meeting. And if that makes sense to do it, just to present it all at once, and then any questions or anything we can got then.
Is that when we'll be getting copies of it? Will be at that April meeting?
I don't want to carve that in granite.
No.
That's
Just
what yes.
the intention would be to get
Yes.
us a copy to
Yes.
take home and review.
Yeah, right.
And hopefully act on it at the
Yep.
following meeting.
Yep.
Okay, I won't chase you down for that.
Any further discussion?
I'd just like to add that it has been a pleasure to work on this committee. It's been interesting, it's been enlightening, it's been fun, and it's been a lot of work, but I think we're rolling along very well. So I want to thank Lisa and Linda and Naomi, wherever you are, Naomi, for keeping us rolling.
I think we gotta go back and revisit item E. I believe we did a lot of process, I believe it's not us that sets that date. Board of Selectmen.
And thank you for that. We do have to do that for the Board of Select meeting. But I appreciate your looking into the dates for us.
I think that's a recommendation from the Board of Finance. Thank you.
I always thought the Board of Selectmen did it first than us, but I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Or we push it to you to set the date, maybe that's the way it's going to
Yes, in section 2.3a, I was thinking of 2.3b. 2.3b talks about prior to the annual meeting, the Board of Finance shall have prepared, published, and distributed a town report. That means you have a lot of work to do in a matter of a couple of weeks. And then what we do is we get the documentation from our departments telling us what they've done over the year. So we're still in that transition process of bringing those in. So we'll take care of that on Monday at the Board of Selectmen meeting, actually setting the date. Just so you know, such reports shall contain the written narrative reports of the town offices and boards, including those reports required by the general statutes and such other matters for the Board of Finance deems advisable. But right now you're okay with the audit, so we can bring that forward with department reports.
And we didn't need to accept anything on the bylaw committee, because it was just an update. So next we would be looking for motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. Okay.